We're good?
Yep. We are a lot.
All right, lab coats coming to you from Costco. Sitting on a lawn chair. If you like the lawn chair I'm sitting on, which you might, it's only $129. Who, Josh, thanks you for telling me, Josh. Apparently you know everything at Costco. And today we've got Josh Zollinger. He's a good friend of mine. He's out of Orange County, Newport Beach. And we're going to be talking about how to adjust to a shifting market and prepare these homes so they can actually sell. Josh, thanks for having us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Those are great chairs, the Adriatic chairs there. I've purchased those for some of my listings and look really good and highly recommend them.
Dude, they're super comfortable. And you know what? I thought I was sitting on like a wooden thing, but it's not wood. It's kind of like this, I don't know, but it feels plasticky.
Yeah. So it's great as you get a couple of those and it goes from one listing to the next listing to the next listing, and it's great.
So, dude, you're
that's what this world is, right?
That's right, dude. Always shifting, man. Always shifting. So the market you're in, Orange County, Newport Beach. I was actually there last week, really close to one of your listings.
Yes.
Which is cool. I like that. So tell me how your area is shifting first.
You know what? Last year, go back 2018, you and I talked about it a couple times. A lot of posts on Lab Coat Agents and other places talking about this shift. Things slowed down quite a bit. And this year, things have seemed to balance out a little bit. We're going through and seeing, I think, a normalized market where, buyers don't have to rush out and buy the first thing they see, and they're taking a little bit of time. But in the end, the ask to sell ratio, it's about 2% from the ask to sell. So, I think things are pretty good and normalized. But what I think is shifting more in the market, and I'm not sure if you're seeing that up there, is in terms of us as real estate agents, what's expected of us to do, that's changed. I've been doing this is my 17th year in the market. And I remember, back 10 years ago, my background, and my father was a contractor. So I grew up, swinging the hammer, doing things, getting, fixing homes up a little bit. And so I've just always had that kind of eye and what needs to happen to homes. And so when I started selling, you always start with kind of friends and family and try to bring some value to people. I'd come in and, hey, well, let's paint this house, or let's do this, and start off doing small improvements to properties. And I think with things like Houzz and Pinterest and Facebook, people's idea of what market ready is has shifted significantly. What 7 years ago you were seeing iPhone photos, right? I guess we still see some iPhone photos out there. And
not very many, but yeah.
And even at every market, what's expected of us as agents, what we're presenting, has increased quite a bit, and that's.
Well, I think that's where the shift is, man. I think so. What you're going to talk about today is exactly that shift. It's not so much that it's an actual market economic shift. It's a shift in what the sellers and buyers are expecting from us as real estate agents. And that what's happening to us, it's shifting us into a different gear. It's like, got it. We have to up our game, or we're going to be losing these buyers, these sellers, not to other agents, but to other companies coming in and taking a big chunk of this. We're having to now push our value much higher. And that's what you've done, and you're in the process of doing. So tell me what you've done to give more value to your sellers over the last year, because I want to show people the progression, right? Where you were a year ago to what you're doing right now.
Awesome. And so going back, say a year ago, I went through, so actually over 2018, I directed over $1 million in renovations, whether, just painting, landscaping, trying to get some of the deferred maintenance taken care of, not like putting in new kitchens and stuff, but countertops, yes. Did a lot of luxury vinyl. Luxury vinyl is great. Even I see luxury vinyl on multi-million-dollar homes here in Orange County. And what's nice about that is you don't need it. If you have tile floors, you don't need a demo. Luxury vinyl goes right over the top, and it's something that can change the whole house. So I was going through, and I was finding myself spending half of my time working on renovations for people. So, I mean, literally, hundreds of hours a year going through and trying to manage this for people. And at the end of last year, what I struggled a little bit because I'm spending all this time away from my family, all this time away from getting new clients, dropping the ball a little bit on my business because I was handling all these renovations. And so, and trying to figure out what to do, and kind of in my head, like, how am I going to make this, how am I going to still bring value to people and bringing value to people while freeing up my time. We're actually opening up a full-on design center. I have a full-time designer right now, and she's going through. I have a house coming up on the market. We're shooting this afternoon, and she's over there, just finalizing the staging tips and just getting things finalized. But we've had painters there, landscapers, carpet cleaners, window cleaners, and she's helped coordinate all of that for me. And so, but with this design center, it's, I have 5 homes under construction right now: countertops, flooring, paint. And
can you explain on the design section, can you explain how it works with you being the contractor, or are you like leading everything, or do you subcontract? How does this all work legally so that we can start doing it too?
Well, so in the state of California, in order to sell flooring materials, countertops, you just have to have a resale license. That's really easy to get. You go to get a resale license and you get set up with different wholesalers to be able to sell this stuff. So the installers need to be licensed contractors, and you go through and work with different subcontractors for the installation. And that's the way you can go through. For me, it's a profit center, but right now, a lot of that's, basically paying for the designer, and we're just trying to get things up and going. So eventually I see that a lot more profit coming out of that. But that's something that can be done on the small scale. Some other stuff that can be done. I mean, if I know a lot of agents that go through and just have, referral fees to painters, landscapers. That's non-RESPA. So you can go through whatever you decide to set up and try to make money off of that, you can. And, and it's time. And in the way, and part of my process of thinking about all this was, guess what? If I go through and make a referral to somebody, what happens when something goes bad? Where does the homeowner go? They always come back to me. I found that basically the buck always stops with me. And how is it that I'm going through and building all these other businesses around me, and without making any money off of them? And so that's where things are changing a little bit. I am working in becoming to get a contractor. We're working with a contractor to finalize some things, but I always bring him in for stuff that's big.
All right, so right now you're using this as a tool to not so much to make money, but to win the listing. Because when you're sitting down in front of these other sellers and they're saying, well, what makes you different than everybody else? You're like, well, all the remodeling we have to do, we have it in-house. We can just start working on it and then put it up on the market. And this is how much value it's going to bring to you. And this is your cost, right? In essence, that's what you're doing?
Yeah, so I went through, last week I went through a $3 million listing. Went through, met there with my designer, and we went through, and I would say on a small scale, kind of my first steps was I would pay a designer like $150 to go with me to the house. One thing you guess kind of early on is understanding, just kind of when you're talking to people, you don't want to be bad on their house. Nobody wants negativity on their house. And so, and even if you're there, I remember there was a house, you could see a busy street behind it. I wanted to plant a couple of trees to block it. And they said, "No, what, Josh?" Now, the other agent said, "Everybody knows the street's there. They don't need to, we don't need to block it out." I'm like, well, they know the street's there, but they don't want to see the cars. I'm like, yeah. No, the other agent said that's not a big deal. The other agent got the listing and it expired a year later. But it just kind of goes to show. I mean, it's people want to go into a home and they want to be sold. Right? Like, Tristan, when you went and bought your Tesla, I mean, did you have to be sold on the car?
No, I was already sold on it way before.
Right. So and that's it. So when we go through and do this, like the prep of the house, and get the pictures done, get nice marketing done. People see that and they go to the property. They're going there to be sold. They're going in there to buy. And so I think that's in doing that and getting the home ready. There's also there's the finishes and the pictures and stuff that are important, but it's also the kind of the psychology of the sale. And that's where on this property, I'm like, people don't want to see the busy street, and I think that's plays into the psychology of the buy. So when I go through and do repairs, you're looking at how can I make this room look bigger? How can I make, when we get decluttered, why is decluttering so important? Well, when the people are coming in, whether they realize that or not, the psychology is how is this house going to solve my problems? They're trying to solve something, and they're going in there, and if they see clutter, well, no, there's not enough storage in this house because they have their crap everywhere. But if you go through and they see it all nice and clean, all the clutter put away, they're like, okay, well, if I move into this house, I'll have spots for my stuff, and this house will solve a problem.
Well then take me through two different steps. One is I want to know what you guys do and what you recommend for all of us to do on preparing the home, right? Number one. And then I'm asking you the second question now so you can start kind of meshing that into your answer too. How do we build what you've built if we want to also build kind of like a design center, right? So that we have more value that we're giving our clients. So let's take it step one. How do we prepare a home so that we're giving a lot of value to our client and they see it? They're like, wow, you know what? I want to use so-and-so. I want to use Josh, right? I want to use Tristan.
Okay. No, that's really good. 1 second. Let me grab some notes here. Okay, so we go through when we start. I mean, the first thing that we always do is we start with just deferred maintenance. People come in. I mean, deferred maintenance and things that people are typically going to ask to be repaired in the request for repair. You walk up to the house and the fence is leaning over and the post is rotted out. Chances are you're going to end up fixing that. So why not put the money in now when people can see it rather than going and waiting to do that later? So that's what I typically explain to my clients, like, hey, like at the house today, we had a bunch of trip hazards and we had to, do some stuff with cement and stuff outside. I'm like, know what? The inspector's going to call out all these trip hazards. And these people in their mind, they're going to be like, oh, you need to rip out all this concrete, fix everything. And, we did little ramps and did little things to make it so it was no longer a trip hazard. So while we still have control of the situation, let's take care of those things. And I typically will go through and have the termite reports done up front of my listings. I like to go through and, because I can have my painter go through and do a lot of that work now. And rather than us being in a rush with termite at the end and getting a big bill to get those things fixed. So I'll do the termite. If you have a house that you think might need some extra work, I would say a pre-inspection is probably something else good to work off of. But to me, like I said, I go through, so those are two things to kind of consider. And then I go through with my designer. And kind of what I was talking about, being the good guy. So that's when I started hiring a designer. And it's funny how it works because I'll go through and I hire the designer and I walk through the house with just the designer and tell the clients, hey, meet with the designer and we're going to go through and give you kind of an ideal list of everything that we would want to make this house perfect for sale. Well, by doing that, the designer becomes the bad guy. So all of a sudden, the designer wanted you to do that. Oh man, okay, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do this. And then at that point, you can talk to the client and you're on their side. You're the good guy trying to, see how much of that stuff can be done or not. So once we go and get the list, and that list, I said, goes through the kind of the repairs, deferred maintenance, it kind of topmost.
Josh, do you give all of this information before you're getting the listing? So as you're doing the listing pitch or trying to win the listing over, or at what point do you show them what you can do with what you're doing now?
Yeah. So for example, for that $3 million listing that I got last week, they went through, heard me like, Josh, we're not shop. You're our guy. And so I go through and I get the listing and tell them I'm going to come in with my designer, and then we're going to go through and we're going to work, we're going to work through everything. So we'll get the listing.
Your designer, do you pay them per job? Do you pay them hourly? How does that work with your designer?
So when I first started, I would go and I'd hire the designer. I paid $50 an hour. It usually worked out to about 3 hours of work to go to the property. And I basically tell them everything I would want to do to the home, and they would add some things to it. Then they go back to their office and they type everything up, and usually it's a room by room itemization of what to do. And again, starting with the deferred maintenance, and then we get into things that would be, the paint job, landscaping. I mean, there's been some jobs where, again, we've gone through and like your kitchen's awful. And if you want to sell the house, so just depending on what the client is, you just have to kind of feel your client, kind of see what they're thinking. So it's first starting by the hour. And then now that I have a full-time designer, so she goes through and we do that. And then I meet with the clients afterwards and say, this is kind of what we're looking at. And she'll go through and she'll get bids too. She'll get bids.
You pay her now, you pay her what? Hourly?
She's salary. So she's salary working for my design company.
And she only works for you, right? She's taking, got it. All right. So she's running your whole design company now.
Yep. So she's running that.
So before you got there, sorry, now I'm curious. I'm asking questions for me, dude. This is how all the webinars end up anyway. So putting on my Tristan hat, you were starting with the design company, the design idea. You brought her in hourly. Then for about $150, she'd outline, hey guys, these are the things you need to fix up, right? Because she's charging you $50 an hour. These are the things you need to fix up. This room, paint, and do the front and the backyard. But who would hire these people? Would you go through her contacts? Or did you have your own people already? How did you build it up?
So that's where, and that's what was happening to me last year is next thing you know, I was project managing all this stuff. And so I'm going through making sure people showed up, had the right materials, and like running around. And it got to be a lot. I mean, I did, again, directing over $1 million in work and making sure, oh, okay, that's the wrong sink, or oh, that's the wrong faucet. So it got to be much. And so now with my designer on staff full time, she goes out to those initial consultations. She gets the bids of the work that needs to be done. And in the end, she's the project manager as well. So she's going and making sure people are showing up, executing, and handling all of the payments and stuff like that. So we go through and handle the payments as well.
Dude, I love what you built then. That's pretty powerful. I mean, if I went up against you, I would probably lose based on that. So don't go after my listings, okay?
Yeah, you still never gave me that address in Newport.
I'll send it to you today.
It really, in terms of listing appointments, it's hands down. People are like, nobody else is offering that. And people understand. You go through and you show other listings on the market, and like, look at this, look at what you're competing with. You show them take them to a couple of homes. This is what you're competing with. And they're like, they get overwhelmed. So the first part is, they come to this realization, if they haven't already, that, oh crap, I've got a lot to do to my house. And then it's like, they're thinking, okay, I need to pack, I need to do this. They don't know where to start. So coming up with that checklist and showing them what they need to do helps out quite a bit. And then helping them execute on that, having some, I have some packers that I use. I have some, people will go through there and kind of de-junk for people. So I'm trying to offload all the work myself. But
so you have a person that comes in and also declutters for them?
Yeah, and so that's something, they pay for it, but just they don't even know where to start. And so, but little things like that, and people always like, I can pack myself, it's not a big deal. Like, okay, give them a couple hours. And, they'll go over there and they're like, oh my gosh, Josh, that was amazing. And we got like 2 weeks worth of packing done. And, it helps them see the end. And
What about putting it all together for when they have to move? Do you have a company that helps them move too?
oh, definitely. And that's another beautiful part about this is, for a lot of my moves are local moves. So I go through and I help people go through the process. And this is also where it came out of real necessity to do the design center was I'd make somebody's house beautiful. They'd go find another house. I'm like, hey, Josh, you're going to help us do all this again, right? And it's like, yeah, sure. And then we're closing on the next house. And then I'm meeting with flooring contractors, meeting with countertop people. And it just got to be a value add on the end side as well. So I have somebody right now, my listing in Newport, they're like, I did their house and like, hey, Josh, I can't wait to get to the next house. We've got some ideas of what we want to do.
Wow.
We're going to meet with a designer and it's like, okay, we're going to go to the next house. And then for recruiting as well, so as I'm building my brokerage down here, so we're expanding and I have agents like, dude, are you sick of picking out carpet and paint? Oh my gosh. Like, hey, come work for us and we'll take care of all that for you. So you're still the hero. You're still helping getting the house ready, in your client's eyes, you're still the hero making their house sell quicker, sell for more money. Yeah. And it's all being managed by my design center.
How do the people not come back to you years later, man? You're opening up the door for people to just be a client for life at this point.
Oh, 100%. And also, I've been doing this for years, going through and helping with the rehab and stuff. But I mean, I have, just this morning had a call from a client. I mean, I get probably, let's say 5 to 7 calls a week from past clients like, hey, I've got a leak. Oh, my garage door is broken. Or, I'm the top of mind at anything real estate. And that's a place where you want to be. And so,
do you have a handyman on payroll or no? Or how does that work?
That's 2020. So by next year, we'll have a handyman on payroll for sure.
Can I come work for you, Josh?
You bet.
I'll just set up shop there and be like, yeah, we got a design center all ready to go. You know what? I may put one of my team members on your team up there in Newport, in your brokerage.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty sweet, dude. Good job, man. Good job on this. Anything you want to add before we let you go? This was really good.
No, I again in doing all of this, I mean, it comes like, could you make money at this? Yes. Will I make money? Yes. But I guess the sole part of this is helping your clients. I mean, it really is, and that's where I felt like people were closing, and they're like, Josh, like, why are you here making sure this is happening? I just felt like it came out of necessity of wanting to give the white glove service to my listings and to my buyers, and just handing phone numbers to people. And Josh, I called that guy. He hasn't called back after 3 times. And that's where I came to a kind of a crossing, kind of a T in the road. And either I just need to stop doing that or go the other way. Because I'm telling agents out there and trying to be helpful, it can be some work, and maybe you can get a designer that will do all of this part-time. My designer full-time, she's slammed. And so
I love that.
And like I said, be the good guy in terms of bringing value. I just had a client and I was talking about kind of the iBuyers, or as the market's shifting. I had a client last year, talked with Redfin, got a Redfin offer, $900,000 for their house. I went into the house. We did change out the backsplash, painted the house. I always do carpet cleaning and window cleaning, pressure washing on the outside, cleaned it up, did a little bit of landscaping. We spent $10,000. I sold that house for $1,025,000 months later. And so, I mean, $70,000 more in my clients' pocket. How happy are they? And how happy am I for them? And
do you not use it as a case study to win over listings all the time?
Oh, it is. So we're working on doing a nice video case study on that, and just showing just how much value it really brings. And that's what people it's painful to go through this process. I mean, just the showings and open houses alone are painful, but getting ready for market, there's a lot of pain in there. But if you can demonstrate the value, show them where the market really is, show them how consumers have changed. I mean, if you think, a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, oh, the kitchen was updated within the last 20 years. It's a good kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, I talk to contractors around here, and it's like, yeah, we got halfway done in the bathroom remodel, and they changed their mind already, ripped it out, and starting again. I mean, it gets a little extreme here in Orange County, but
Dude.
But now, the trends are going quick and fast, and a kitchen that's 10 years old, it's for the most part outdated, and so there's little things you can go in between, like knobs and a backsplash, or faucet. There's things you can do without doing a full kitchen remodel. So
Yeah.
I mean, every budget, every house is a little bit different, But I take this approach on condos to mansions and everywhere in between. Clients love having having somebody help them, walk them through, and
Dude, clients love one thing, and you hit it right on. They love to be able to trust someone to do everything. They want to dump it on you and be sure that you're going to do the job, and then you won. That's it. You beat out everyone. Open Door, Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com, anybody else out there. You just gained that trust, and you're doing it the right way, because now you're going to have a foothold in this amazing, dude, you have an amazing market. Newport Beach, where you're at, is insane. And you're setting yourself up to own a really nice chunk of that market. So congratulations to you, dude. That's badass right there.
Yeah.
Good job.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to help any specific questions that they may have. Or I've spoken on this topic before, and people had a line of people, a lot of messages afterwards, like, "Hey, I'm kind of
Dude,
doing
I'd love for you kind of like to break it down on a second part. Once your design center is done, maybe you could do a Facebook Live from there and kind of outline what it is that you offer with the design center, and what your designer does, what your crew does, so that people can get a better idea of how that looks if they want to build it in their area."
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to do that. So we're less than 60 days. We'll have a complete plan. Hopefully 30 days. We'll see.
I'll stop by if it's.
They're busy on my jobs and at these houses. I'm like trying to get them in here, trying to get it finished.
If you're ready before LCA Live, I'll be there.
100%.
All right,
let's do it.
And if you have questions for Josh, he's an admin in Lab Coats. Just message him. And thanks for all you do, man. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Tristan. Hey, good luck with your hot dog and Coke on the way out.
Thanks, bro. I love this place. All right, bye.
All right, see ya.